Thanks for joining. We're excited to have this discussion. It's not often where we get such an iconic brand. I think everybody's interfaced, experienced, ate at a McDonald's at some point. And when you walk through those golden arches, there's just an experience that gets created with tons of brand equity. And what we're really interested in hearing today is how you take such an iconic brand and then leverage data to continue to reinvent it and drive it into the future. And so, Lauren, I'd love to start with you, just to hear a little bit more about the principles that drive a lot of McDonald's data strategy today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here today. This is a truly exciting moment for our brand. So at McDonald's, everything starts with our guests. So we actually have a transactional app where our guests can place an order for their food order, and they can actually also place an order for McDelivery. So we are very fortunate enough to sit on like a wealth of data that are coming from our customer. So it's all about how we leverage our data in a smart but also privacy conscious way, so that it's all about anticipating their needs and then meeting their expectation and continue to deliver the value.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think those principles are so smart, but it's also really important that data strategy drives top line revenue. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you make that connection.
Yeah, for sure. So by leveraging first-party data, we actually tailor different offers and then the content based on the type of product that they purchase or even the content that they interacted, because it's all about how we can stay more personalized and relevant to our guests. And then when it comes to business growth, we leverage data such as a CRM segment and then app behavior so we can optimize digital media buy whenever possible. So for example, we were able to achieve 56 times ROAS by modeling off lookalike audience from our CRM segment. That's a huge incremental lift and then impact to our business.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Eric, I want to get you into it. I'm sure you played a big role in driving a lot of that. And so, how do you think about maximizing McDonald's data strategy? How do you work with them to bring this to life?
So the main thing for us is actually focusing on a client's first-party data, because at OMD we understand that it is the most direct source of truth that we can get out there for us, especially in this kind of like cookie-less, privacy-first world that we're all experiencing. It is the most accessible thing we can give to our teams and share it across all of our accounts as well that we're working on. From there, we can kind of connect the dots between paid and also owned media to kind of give us a more strategic approach to where we can take that data from there to meet our clients' needs.
Yeah, and just to build on that, Eric, we talked a lot about first-party data to date, but we recognize that third-party data plays a really big role in this. And so, how do you think about bringing those two things together, and how do you evaluate what's good third-party data?
So third-party data is here to stay. We all know this, but the main thing about third-party data is understanding whether that data is, first of all, how's it collected? We need to make sure it's collected in a way that meets our standards. Apart from that, is the data fresh? Are they being refreshed all the time, or is it just some old segment somebody created a while ago? From there, it is also working alongside with our data teams and our inventory teams to better understand how safe it is for us as a whole, and how can it fit into our current structure within our agency. Another thing is we don't just look at all third-party. We need to use that first-party data segments to dictate the best use of those third-party data for our client.
Yeah, I love the connection between leveraging first-party data to inform third-party data strategy. I think that's really smart. I want to build on something that you said around safety. And Lauren, I'm just going to come back to you to sort of McDonald's is this trusted brand. You have this amazing consumer relationship. As you think about the changing regulations and landscape, how do you think about privacy and making sure that you remain compliant as you build this future that's built on first-party data?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really great question. So we work in a very close partnership with our legal and then tech partner to make sure that we are always safeguarding our guest data. And then all our system and policies are in development with McDonald's legal, privacy, and compliance officer. But of course, we have a close partnership with our media agency, OMD. So we are always adhering to the right Canadian regulation. But at McDonald's, we are very fortunate enough to be able to tap into our global network as well as OMD global network. So we are able to have always like a preview to like if there's any critical changes that are coming in the pipeline, and then making sure that we are able to adapt and scale what makes sense for Canadian market.
Yeah, that's great. I want to shift gears slightly, Eric, just to talk about, continue on this topic of data strategy. When you think about data strategy and identity as part of kind of the first-party data landscape, how do you think about bringing and driving the right efficiency in that first-party data equation, and what identity solutions matter and kind of move the needle?
So with that, we like to approach it in a different way. We like to think about what does the client want to do with their data? What is the end goal that we're trying to achieve? From there, we kind of have a data partnership where we identify what is the best tool for the job. For example, with UID2, we use it to create our seed audiences that help drive our campaigns. And what we're finding is that they're helping reduce that extra waste that we'd be getting from if we were just to run against what we don't know. And not only that, we can actually showcase value to our client with the results that we're getting, such as the 56x ROAS.
Lauren, I'm gonna ask this question to both of you, but as kind of like the media landscape changes and we think about data strategy, one of the things that's true is that we need to constantly be testing and learning and innovating. And so, what's your approach to that? How does McDonald's think about bringing that to life?
Yeah, for sure. So at McDonald's, we are very proud of our annual campaign planning strategy, and then how we work with different category team across business to come up with the perfect calendar. So all our annual plans are developed against how we are going to achieve our business target, but we always make a room to allow for big, bold ideas so that our brand can continue to stay fresh, exciting, and relevant with our fans. So we have a very rigorous approach of the test and learn. We make sure that we always make a room for our hero campaign so that we are adopting a meaningful test and learn plan, but we also have a enterprise annual learning agenda. So we are not just doing test and learn for the sake of let's do something, but it always aligned to something that what we want to learn out of that particular year, and then how we can actually optimize the learning for the future campaign or even the future year coming ahead.
Yeah, Eric, I'd love to hear an OMD perspective on that exact thing.
So for us, it's thanks to kind of the calendar that McDonald's has created that allows us to double down on what works and gives us that opportunity to test new learnings and new things that we've wanted to try out. Because the big thing for brands is that test and learn is where you find out the next big hit. That's where you find that opportunity that you would normally see, and it will help you in your future, not just across that particular campaign, but across everything, because that is what propels us forward.
Yeah. And Lauren, just staying on this topic of shifting consumer behavior, there's some great connectivity from the panel that we just heard where there's this shift happening between linear and CTV. And I'd love to get your take on it. How does McDonald's think about planning and activation as it relates to this in the context of the shifting consumer behavior?
Yeah, for sure. So we will have to say CTV has been a real game changer for us. So we love the fact that we are able to actually segment and personalize messaging in the biggest screen in every household. And then I think we can all agree, but then we are also noticing the viewership shift from linear TV to CTV. So while we are not ignoring the role of linear TV, but we are just smartly pivoting and then making a strategic move to CTV whenever possible, or the campaign that makes sense.
Yeah. And another shift that's happening is just some of the macroeconomic kind of challenges that we see in the backdrop and some uncertainty. And I'd love to know how McDonald's uses data to navigate that. How do you think smarter about that?
Yeah, for sure. So we take a lot of time trying to understand the data, but more so understanding our consumer and then our guest sentiment. And then it really helps us to make the informed decision and stay agile, because obviously we want to be relevant and personalized brand to our fan. So it's all about understanding what our guests are wanting to hear from us, and then make the right pivot and prioritize the right message in the market so that we can continue to deliver the value to our guests.
And Eric, just building off of that, in times like this where things are a little uncertain, proving ROI becomes even more important. And so as an agency, how do you think about that and how do you bring strategies forward that help drive that?
So we have a very robust mixed modeling strategy for McDonald's that actually connects our own data in terms of paid, as well as looking at clients' data at the same time. And we kind of connect the dots to get a very wide perspective across what is happening across all the channels and all the pillars. With that, we can kind of keep our hand on the pulse to ensure that we are driving our media budgets and our priorities towards places where we are seeing that better overall performance, but also using it to identify places that we could improve.
And when you think about driving ROI and the systems that you build, what's the right tech stack to actually bring that to life? Because that's not an easy challenge to solve. And so how have you thought about developing the systems around that to make sure that that's a repeatable, scalable thing to bring to market?
Well, that's where it's the best thing I can say is communication. Where I mean communication, not just with the tech stack, I'm talking about the entirety of your channels. That would be within your internal teams, your agency, not only that, your DSP, your SSP. We need to know what is the big thing out there that we can always do to keep improving upon what we already have, because that is the world we live in. We are constantly evolving mixed media modeling world, right?
And one more for you, Eric. So as you consult with partners around this idea of future-proofing data strategy, it's a topic that's been top of mind for a lot of marketers. If someone was to come to you and say, hey, what's the right strategy? How have you counseled folks around it?
That is, we don't have enough time for me to go over everything, I'll tell you that much. But I'm gonna try and just fire off what I can. Privacy is a big one. Data compliance is always gonna be there. We need to make sure we're doing it the right way. How are we managing this data that we're gathering for our clients? The other thing we always need to think about is what are the actionable insights we can possibly gather from all of this in the first place? And also, what are we using to leverage custom experiences for our customers? We can't just be doing the exact same thing for everybody. Apart from that, how is it integrating with what we already have? Does it work? Does it not? That's very important to know. And last thing is, what is the long-lasting impact that you're trying to achieve with everything that you're trying to do? Because otherwise, we're going to repeat the process over and over.
Yeah, for sure. Lauren, I just want to build on something Eric said, which is this experience, like how do we build the right experience? And when we think about first-party data, I'm a huge user of the McDonald's app and love the experience. And so I'm really curious, as you think about the rest of the year and your roadmap, what are some things that we can expect around how the experience will evolve?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we can all agree that Canadians love loyalty program. So at McDonald's, we will continue to invest heavily in growing our app, the experience, and then making sure that we can continue to deliver the value to our guests.
Awesome. Eric, I'm going to come back to you. As you think about the rest of the year, what are some things that are priorities? How do you think about the things that are important as we kind of close out 2025?
So for us, we're looking at it from I want to say a three-part approach. So the first one will be focusing on MCAPI and GA4 to kind of help robust us in terms of data. We're also focusing on Omni AI to make us more better at planning and strategic thinking, while at the same time leveraging creative optimization via our DCO partners to do things we never even thought of before.
Awesome. Lauren, same question to you. As you think about the back half of the year, what are some of the big priorities for you?
Yeah, for sure. So we will, our focus will be how we further deepen the value of the first-party data. So it's really all about how we create that holistic omni-channel experience for our guests, again, anticipating their needs, because we believe that staying relevant to that level is almost a table stakes to a lot of guests and consumer. So it's all about staying ahead and then making sure that what we offer to them is, again, valuable moment and personalized experience for them.
Awesome. This is just the last question, but today is a really important day for McDonald's, and so Lauren, would you mind telling us what's happening today in the McDonald's world?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the shout out. So today is a very special day for McDonald's. It's called McHappy Day. So it's an annual fundraising day that we host for Ronald McDonald's House of Charity, as well as other children's local charities. So today, portion of the proceeds from sales will be donated to Ronald McDonald's House of Charity, where they actually support Canadians' family with sick children and then providing them accommodation and resources and supplies when they're traveling for their child's medical care. So if you do have a time today, please make a stop at McDonald's because your visit will make a huge difference and then it will definitely help to bring smile to a lot of families in Canada.
Yeah. How could you not go to McDonald's after that? And so please do check it out. I just want to thank our panelists. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Eric. Thanks so much for joining us on stage.